The Most High, the Creator, uses religion to train us, to help us to gain understanding, to gain discipline, to get us out of whatever place He has found us in. In a lot of instances, He chose a particular religious path to help us to be able to get to the next place. I see it as training wheels, right? Even in the scripture, it talks about Torah, it talks about being a tutor, right? It was like a tutor getting you to from one place to the next, training you. In another instance, it calls it a shadow, right? Of a reality. Okay, so but I look at religion, despite what religion we're talking about, as like training wheels, right? When you're riding a bicycle, when you're a child, you don't know how to ride a bicycle. Your parents put training wheels on the bicycle, right? So the training wheels is like an extra support that helps to support the weight of your body. It's helping to guide the wheels. So it's helping to give extra support to be able to ride and to get the experience and get the confidence up and get the experience of riding this bicycle, right? So it helps you along the way. It helps you get to a certain point where eventually you build up your confidence, you get used to balancing your weight, you get used to guiding the wheel, and then you can take those, your parent can take the training wheels off of the bicycle, and now you can freely ride the bicycle. So now taking the training wheels off, you never get to a point where you don't need the wheels at all. You need your main wheels to be able to drive, but this extra support on the wheels was helping you while you were getting your bearing, right? So there's never a point where you don't need the wheels to drive the bicycle. Okay, so there's never a point where we are lawless, where we don't need laws, where we just throw the laws to the side. We don't get to a point where we don't have to follow law. Law is instituted into creation, but we get to a point where we don't need the extra training wheels on to be able to balance our weight and to guide us to be able to drive the bicycle, right? We can navigate the wheels on our own. When we get to a certain point, we can navigate, right? So what religion so the Most High always moves within whatever is going on within culture, right? He's not limited by uh the our religious constructs. He's not limited by our cultural realities in society. He's not limited by those things, and he doesn't do a mass just overthrow of those things. What he does is he will work within those things to be able to reach us, because our perception of reality is going to be based on and limited to whatever we've been molded by, whatever system we've been molded by. To some degree, some people have been completely uh, conformed and are completely surrendered to whatever program is running in the society, and other people have more of a freedom, have more of free minds, and will be still having to function within that system, but are um awakened to a degree where they have a different understanding as well. So but the Most High will work through both of those people, to be able to help get them both to the next level, to help them both graduate to the next level, despite whatever societal constraints and mindsets and ideologies they have going on. Okay, so the Most High is not limited by our society, and He works within it. So in the Most High working within our constructs, He will use religion, because this is the way that we seek God. We have taken truth and categorized it, labeled it, boxed it into different religious constructs, and the Most High will move within those constructs to be able to um, help to mold us, to help us to understand who He is, to help reveal portions of Himself to us, to help reveal portions of ourself to us. So what happens is you get this split, right? You get this split. You get some people who fight to keep the training wheels on. So imagine you have a parent who doesn't want you, who feels comfortable because, they have to hold the handbars with you and run with you. They feel comfortable with you with the training wheels on. They feel like you're not going to hurt yourself. They feel comfortable with you in this limited form. And then when you're ready to take the training wheels off and you're ready to ride the bike and you're ready to go through the city and go on, they don't feel comfortable with that. So they want to keep you with the training wheels on. They want to keep you in this place because they're not comfortable. So we have this split to where religious leaders and just people in general, there's some people who want to stay keep everyone with the training wheels on so that it makes them feel more comfortable. It breeds control. So they stay in a place of fear, control, manipulation, to be able to stay in this place where there's a sense of control, right? And some people like that. They like, I ain't want to take the training wheels off anyway. I feel safer with these training wheels on. I done became comfortable with these training wheels on. I'm going, if I stay right here, I know I'm safe. So you got that split of people, but then you got the split of people who are like, all right, I got this. I get this portion, I get this part of it. Okay, great. I done got comfortable. So like, wasn't the point to take the training wheels off? Like, I wanna see how I can ride now. I'm ready to go. So those people have a choice to make. Do I, stay confined with these training wheels with everybody else who, in this, or do I take these training wheels off and go and be free, moving to the next level of my potential, moving to the next place where the training wheels whole point and purpose was to get me to the next place, to help me graduate and mature, right? So what do you do when you're in this situation? You end up having to split. So now you have to go on to the next place and do what you need to do so that you can ride your bicycle in freedom and move on from the place that trains you. And you don't turn around and spurn the training wheels. You're not mad at the training wheels. The only reason you get mad at the training wheels is because the training wheels, if you stay in the training wheels, are hindering your freedom. So you have a lot of people that in the world where it's like, you're hindering my freedom. Now I had a breakaway and now I have a bit of a bitterness looking back, because I'm like, that doggone training wheels was hindering me, you know, because you weren't released to the next place in a time where it made sense, right? So you have to, if you have that energy, you got to cleanse yourself of that, um, because the training wheels aren't the problem. The training wheels only become a problem when we're not allowed to move to the next place, to be able to move to the next part of our growth. So the training wheels were necessary for the time period that when they were necessary, when we were children, we were immature, when we were lacking in capacity, not capacity, but lacking in uh, skills and experience, right? So, but we don't look down on the training wheels when we go on to the next place. We thank it for helping us to guide us and to balance us and to give us confidence so that we can walk forward. So that's where religion is, and where a lot of people are right now. You have to be willing to um go to the place where it may not be as controlled and as safe, right? Where you can drive this bicycle. The wheels are spirit and truth. Okay, the wheels of the bicycle that we're trying to ride is called spirit and truth. We're trying to learn how to walk, how to ride, how to flow in spirit and in truth, right? So that we can know who we are as people who are formed in the image of the Most High God, right? We're formed in the image of Yah. We are uh uh image bearers, right? And through the spirit of Christ, the spirit, the anointing, that's what Christ, Mashiach, that's what it means. It means anointing, anointed, right? Of what? Of the spirit. Right? So this is what lives inside of us, and that we are becoming one with, and we can't do that with training wheels on. We needed the training wheels to start off, and now we have to be able to graduate. So so we fall into these two errors on each side. So when we look at graduating, when you graduate from elementary school, you go to middle school, you know, that's a natural progression, and you needed whatever foundation you gained in elementary school to be able to move on to middle school. So two things: we can't stay in elementary school forever. We gotta go to middle school. We're gonna start looking crazy sitting in elementary school, and then imagine how frustrating you get. You know what I'm saying? So imagine a middle schooler sitting and being stuck in elementary school. You know, a couple of things going to happen. One, they're going to start rebelling. They're going to be frustrated and angry. Their growth is stunted. And then they're going to start regressing. Now I might as well sit here and play with the kids then. You start regressing, you start rebelling, and your growth is stunted, and it's not a good look. It's not good, right? So those who are one, either failing to want to go to the next level and continue to grow, that's the situation you're gonna find yourself in. Or those who are being manipulated, controlled, and placed in a space of fear, which is, these are some of the religious mindsets and religious structures that hinder people from growing. you know this is what you have to deal with. So you have that portion of things where there's a something being limited, something being hindering growth. But then you have those who naturally go on. You finished elementary school, you graduated, you went to middle school, you know and then you turn around and start spurning elementary school. Elementary school was holding me back. Elementary school. I'm greater than the ABCs. I know. Because you're going on to the next thing. Now you spurning and spitting on the foundation that allowed you to grow to get to the next level. You turning around. Okay, Christianity, helped you. It was good for you when you was an alcoholic, and you couldn't get off the bottle, and it helped you to be able to get some stability, right? It was good enough for you when you were being fed, and you were able to go get food from the food place, the food bank that they had, and it was okay for you when you just needed somebody to show you some attention and love, and to just have anybody to be in your presence, and you could just show up there. The fish fry was all right when you was hungry. Them hugs was okay when you were lonely. It may have only been elementary school level for where you go in the future, but why would you spurn that? Because if you didn't have that place to help you survive that season of your life, where would you be now? So it's necessary to be able to have your foundation, and you don't spurn it. You need it to go to the next level. So you needed that foundation to get from elementary school to middle school. And the algebra you learned in middle school, you're gonna need that when you go on to calculus or trigonometry or whatever in high school. You don't turn around and spurn your foundation and get mad at your foundation as if it was holding you back. It's only holding you back currently if your mindset is the way that you're perceiving it is what's holding you back today, right? So take what you got. Not saying that you may not have gotten, you may have gotten in a lot of fights in elementary school. Like, I personally wouldn't want to go back to elementary school because of the bad of it, but I needed the good of it. You know what I'm saying? I needed to learn what I learned, but all the bullying and stuff, what I'm saying, I could have did without that part. So you may have could deal without some of the religious trauma that you've gone through in your experience, going through whatever religious environments you may have been in. But you got to be able to mature and separate the two and understand what the spirit of what the power, what the Almighty was doing, uh, um, um, in where He was in the experience, right? Where was He in the experience? What can you look back on and say that you gained, even if it was what not to do? Sometimes, we can learn from places what not to do, but if we would have never had that contrast, we may not have known, right? So we have to I'm talking about a couple of different layers here. We're looking at how we hold ourselves back, how we hold others back, and how we can allow others to hold us back. So we have to know that this is a process. The Most High will use religion at times to be able to help us to get to the next level. And for some of us, it may be lifelong in one place, and for some of us, it may be a journey through many places. But we hurt ourselves if we don't we hinder ourselves if we aren't able to integrate what we've learned, and we just keep throwing away everything we learned just because we've gone to another place, just because we've learned something additional. We throw away what we knew before. We have to grow and mature into integrating our learning and understanding, so that we can, you know, not waste our experiences, and not think that the Most High is not an intelligent power that understands what we need and how to get it to us, despite where we are, despite where we've been, despite the limitations of the environment around us, despite the toxicity that we may be fighting through around us or within us. We have to be able to trust that. So, so I just wanted to share in this video how that process of growth is designed to take us to the next level, and how we can um, end up in certain little traps and pitfalls if we don't gain a healthy perspective of what this experience is. So I hope this helped give you a thought. Share with me what thought you had while you were listening to this, and what you might take away from what was said, or how did it make you think of anything differently, or what do you disagree with? You know, what was confusing? Love to hear your thoughts. Looking forward to it. This is Sister Yara. Shalom, shalom.